Yo, what's go, and welcome to the video. I'm going to show you how I've been farming 3 of the brand new shoulder rune enchants per hour guaranteed. Each enchant requires 5 Argent Dawn Valor tokens, which can be earned from turning in either 20 minions, 10 invaders, or 1 corruptor's Scourgestone, or from turning in 15 necrotic runes from the new invasion event. The way I've been farming 15 of these tokens is by going into Stratholme to get 15 guaranteed corruptor Scourgestones in an hour. Inside Strath is a new boss, Balzaphon, who isn't too far inside the dungeon if you enter through the service entrance. After clearing a few packs, he stands alone, tucked into a corner, and can be easily burst down. Once killed, he always drops 2 corruptor Scourgestones, a new upgraded epic item, and 3 tarnished undermined reals on your first lockout of the day. Right next to Balzaphon is the Unforgiven, who also isn't too hard to burst down, and this boss always drops a single corruptor Scourgestone, a blue piece of boss loot, as well as 1 real for the first kill of the day. Killing just these 2 bosses 5 times each in an hour will give you your 15 Scourgestones to be able to trade in for 15 Argent Dawn Valor tokens for 3 of the new shoulder enchants outside of Light's Hope Chapel. After getting the route down, it takes me about 9.5 to 10 minutes per run to get both bosses down and go out and reset. On top of the 3 guaranteed stones per run, you could also get lucky and get a 4th if Hearthsinger Forreston spawned in the right spot. He doesn't drop a real, but will always drop a corruptor Scourgestone, as long as you have your trinket equipped, that is. Oops. It's difficult to stealth through to skip the trash to get to the bosses as a boomkin, and getting brought out of stealth, especially with everything on cooldown, is certain death. So I've chosen to clear all the trash from the entrance all the way to the bosses. Maybe having a spec with a few points in Feral Instinct would be enough to be able to sneak through, but if you try that, let me know down below in the comments. To see how a stealth run would go, I highly recommend checking out Mintzy's guide, which will be linked on screen at the end of the video, and also linked in all the other normal spots. He also does this farm, but as a rogue. Killing the trash is easier said than done. I've got some really good PvP gear that I've chosen to use, which helps me not have to use any consumes to keep me alive. If you're trying to do this with PvE gear, or a mix of PvP and PvE, I'd highly recommend at least buying a Flask of the Titans, or Flask of the Old God, to give you some extra stamina. It cuts into your gold per hour, which is really just a bonus anyways, and will make the run a lot smoother and less stressful, even if you do have gear that's really similar to mine. The route that I take is go into the service entrance, kill the first AoE pack that's just inside the gate, skip the other 2 packs that are inside this big room, but use this area to pull the rest of the packs into. There's 2 more AoE packs just inside the second gate that I pull and then kite back to the left side of the gate here so that I can use Starfall to pump them down and not pull any extra mobs. I leave the giant patchwork horrors alive since they have pretty long patrols that are mostly out of the way. And even though it's 1 mob, it can sometimes require a lot of cooldowns on its own. There's a few patrolling plague ghouls that you should be able to pull on their own, but if you find yourself having to pull one with an AoE pack, make sure you have as many cooldowns as possible. After an hour's worth of resets, I got well over 50 gold, including just raw gold from the mobs and from vendoring the trash and boss loot. I also got over 6 stacks of rune cloth, which sell for a few gold each on the auction house, over 20 bone fragments, which you can also sell for a few gold each on the auction house, or turn in for an insignia of the crusade. And finally, enough extra Scourgestone, including the minion and invader Scourgestones, from the trash to get a 4th shoulder enchant from the 5 runs. Here's the main things to look out for while clearing the trash packs. Berserkers can kick you and lock you out of a school of magic for 6 seconds. If it happens to be nature, then you won't be able to heal yourself. They don't have much health, they usually die during Starfall and from damage from my Thorn set, but I like to target these first so I don't have to worry about getting kicked. The Ravaged Cadavers will spawn a mob when you kill them, which explodes for about 1200 damage if it hits you. Pay very close attention to when these mobs get low health, so you can target the broken cadaver that spawns right away and try to take it out with a Star Surge to avoid that damage. There's a few diseases that you will eventually have applied to you. Cadaver Worms has a 10-minute duration, inflicts 150 shadow damage every 10 seconds, and reduces your health regeneration rate by 100%, which makes it very hard to stay topped off before pulling your next pack of mobs. Ghoul Plague has a 30-minute duration, reduces your movement speed by 20%, and reduces your physical and magic damage by 25%. This makes it a little bit harder to kite mobs or to try to run out and reset if you accidentally pull too many, but it's not as annoying as cadaver worms, in my opinion. There's a stealthed mob, Eye of Naxxramas, that can put you in a pickle. I've seen it spawn in a few locations, usually here by this water fountain, and also in between where Balzaphon and the Unforgiven are. If you don't kill these right away when they spawn, they will summon gargoyles, and if you're in the middle of a pool, those added elite mobs will almost certainly get the better of you and send you to the graveyard. Ghostly citizens will phase in and out, so keep an eye out if you are popping Starfall on the bosses. If you pull one on accident, you can CC them by targeting them and typing /dance. They will immediately stop attacking and start dancing for about 12 seconds, and you can keep typing that macro if need be to keep them controlled while you kill the other mobs that you're fighting. The Helm rune that I like to use is Improved Barkskin, which removes the cast time penalty that Barkskin usually has. This allows me to keep casting Wraths to fish for healing touch procs while also reducing my incoming damage. I prefer this over Gale Winds since even though it adds a lot of damage to Hurricane, casting Hurricane is a bit risky. I can get kicked by that Berserker mob and then get locked out from my nature spells and not be able to heal. For the chest rune, I prefer Fury of Storm Rage to try to fish for those healing touch procs like I just mentioned. I can see maybe there being a way to use Survival of the Fittest, possibly even with Gale Winds, to also be able to do this farm effectively. The waist rune, there's really only one option, which is Eclipse. For the legs, I think there's also only one real option to choose from, and that is Star Surge. For the boots, I tend to go with Survival Instincts. It's pretty much a free health potion on a 3-minute cooldown, so it's nice to have this as a safety net. For the wrist, I have Improved Frenzied Regen, which I typically pair with Survival Instincts, but this can also just be used on its own by shifting in the bear form, popping it in Rage, and letting it heal you for 10 seconds. For the gloves, I have Sunfire, and it's really just for the bosses, and to also have another dot at the beginning of kiting the AoE packs away. But you could opt to go for the shoulder enchant that allows you to cast Wild Growth while in Moonkin form, which I've been wanting to try out for PvP, but it could also work in this situation like this. And for the rings, I've been lazy and just keeping Arcane and Nature specialization, but since the mobs are level 60, they only require 3% hit to be hit capped. So using Meditation and Healing specialization could be an option. And lastly, of course, Starfall for the cloak for obvious reasons. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope this helps you stock up on your new shoulder rune enchants. Let me know which ones you're the most excited to get for PvP or PvE. And don't forget to check out Mintzy's video on how to do this as a stealthy.